Welcome back to the Glow Up Girl podcast. Let's welcome Annie to the show. Welcome, Annie.
Kyra, thanks for having me on today.
Awesome. I'm so glad you're here. What we're going to talk about is, I feel like it's so important as people look at their careers and look at their personal brand. And I think a lot of times people don't realize that it's like, yeah, your personal brand and your career, like they intersect and they have to work together. So I'm really glad that you are going to be here to share tips with us today.
Yeah, I'm so excited to share tips on personal branding today because I think it's just so important. It's like the
Yes.
new resume. It is
Yeah.
the new resume, and I think
Yes.
like people have not technologically caught up to this idea.
Yes. Well, let's get started by having you tell the audience out there listening or watching who you are and what you do.
So my name is Annie Margarita Yang, and I am the author of the 5-Day Job Search. I actually do have a full-time job. I work as a real estate accountant, and I have a side business doing the same thing, accounting.
Mhm.
And what I found is, so I don't have an accounting degree, but I was like landing jobs in 5 days in accounting. I did it 3 times in a row. And I was wondering, like, I was having imposter syndrome. I was like, why do people keep hiring me? I don't understand. When are they going to realize that I don't have the degree and that I'm not actually qualified to be here? But then it never
Mhm.
happened. They people like beg me to continue working for them, and I just didn't understand why. And then I realized it's actually how you are as a person. It's your personal
Mhm.
brand, it's people's perception of you, your reputation, what other people say about you, how you really like show up in the world. That
Mhm.
is just as important as how competent you are. So that's why I
Mhm.
wrote the 5-day job search, because I feel like people are so hung up on like, but I'm qualified. But
Yeah.
they don't realize you need to have that personal brand.
Yeah, awesome. Well, we're going to talk a little bit about the book as well today. But I think you said something that's so important. It is like who you are as a person, how you show up in the world, and then also like your connections, right? Because you will see in a lot of like job descriptions today, like I see a lot of things where they're like, oh, if you don't exactly meet all the qualifications, like still apply because we want to meet you. We want to hear about you. And I think that I love that. I love when I see that when people are searching and seeing that because it people can do the job. Like a lot of people can do certain jobs, but like if you're a terrible person, like nobody, you may not,
You
you
can't
may
pay for attitude.
exactly, right. If you show up and you're like horrible, like people might be like, no, thank you. So as you mentioned coming in your intro that we are living in a different time. We are in like a digital age now, and let's talk about like what personal branding really means now because it doesn't mean the same thing as maybe it meant when you just had your resume PDF to send over to someone.
Well, if you read any personal branding book out there from a professional, they always say in the introduction, a personal brand is what other people think of you. People like think it's something that you control. Actually, it's not. It's when people think, oh, Kyra, who is Kyra? And then they go, wow, she's elegant, or like she's just fabulous. Like it is their perception of you. And if enough
Mhm.
people believe in that same perception, that becomes your personal brand. So they
Yeah.
think they don't have a personal brand, but the fact is, even if you're not on social media, you already have that personal brand. So if you're
Mhm.
not on social media, the personal brand you have is I'm still stuck in 2005. I'm not on social media, right? If you are on
Mhm.
social media and then you just keep posting things like what you ate last night, then this is like, this is what I eat, personal brand. And then if you're like in real estate and you just keep posting like houses that you're buying and selling,
Mhm.
um, then it's like, oh, the I sell houses guy, right? Like
Yeah.
everyone has like personal brand. You have it already. It's just the question, did you curate it to be what you want it to be?
Right, right. That's so true. And I think that's a great way to explain it so that people really understand it. So, all right, let's dive into the personal brand a little bit deeper. So, how does personal branding differentiate a job seeker in a competitive market and how can it elevate an individual and just say, if like we're just talking about the guy who sells houses, right? How can it also help someone in a niche area?
So before anybody wants to talk to you these days, they're going to check you out online. This is in everything, whether you're trying to get a job. Me right now, I'm actually in Kentucky right now trying to buy real estate. I live in Boston, and I was trying to buy real estate in Kentucky, and I kept getting ghosted. And I was like, why am I getting ghosted? And then finally, I was just like, you know what? I'm just going to buy a ticket. I'm going to show up right now. I'm in Kentucky, and I'm going to look at that land and I'm going to demand someone's attention because I'm serious about buying. And you know what? The told me this morning, actually, he said, I thought you were a scammer. Like
Mm,
I thought this was a scam and you said you're from Boston. I wasn't sure whether I wanted to respond to you, but then I checked you out on LinkedIn. I added you
mm,
on LinkedIn and I saw that, you're a real person, so that's why I
mm.
responded to you, right? So that's everything these days.
Yeah, yeah,
The time of day, apparently they will Google you to check you out.
yeah.
So
Of-
so basically this is why it's so important to have a personal brand because if you really want people to even just talk to you these days, they will look you
mhm.
up. And so yeah, people think it's not fair. It's not fair when it comes to a job. It should all just be like a even playing field. But the fact is, maybe you should put in a bit more effort to stand out over everyone
Yeah,
else.
yeah. But I think you also hit on something that is really key. It's that a lot of people, there are a lot of scams out there now. And I mean, you're getting scams to your cell phone, you're getting on like text messages, emails. And so people, employers or people you're trying to work with, they have to also be conscious and they're looking out for themselves. So it's so funny. It's like we've gone to like this digital age, but at the same time, it's like it still could lend itself to being about real connections with people. Like you mentioned, the person reached out and connected to you on LinkedIn to make sure that you were real. And so it's like still those connections like play a part.
That's right. This is all about connections, really, in the
Yeah.
end.
Yeah. All right, so let's talk about so someone out there may be listening, watching, and they're thinking either they're just starting out or they are someone who's already in career, someone who might be starting a business, or they're looking to launch, get themselves out there. So, what would you say are the first things you recommend for someone who's looking to establish a strong personal brand?
The first thing I recommend is a professional headshot. So a lot of people they're not willing to invest the money into this. It costs between $300 to $600 depending
Mhm,
on the photographer, but it's well worth it
mhm,
because it really conveys that you're serious about your career. And I see people online, they're just like taking a selfie with their iPhone, or like they're using a
mhm.
wedding photo where they happen to be dressed up because they have to go to a wedding, and then they just crop somebody else out. But you can tell it was cropped. You can tell
Yeah.
it was cropped. So when I say headshot, I mean like actually like a professionally done one where
Mhm,
your clothes are ironed, nothing stained, it's clean, right? You get your
mhm.
hair done at the salon and you get your makeup done as well, right? And then you go in there, that's 80% of the work. And then you go in there and the rest of it is just relax,
Mhm,
relax. Don't have that deer in the headlights look. Just be your relaxed self,
mhm.
confident and smile.
Yeah, yeah,
Because if you don't smile with your teeth, then you don't look approachable. The whole point
yeah.
of being online, the whole point of connecting with other people online so that you're not like coming across as a scammer is that smile, that
Mhm,
genuine smile, because you want to have people be able to like reach out to you and say, "Hey, Kyra,
mhm.
I want to open this opportunity for you because I just came across your profile and I thought
Yeah,
you'd be the perfect fit."
yeah, yeah, exactly. Yeah, because you don't want to you're not I love that you said smile because like not everybody can pull off like that pensive look or looking away. Like it doesn't work, it doesn't work
You
for everybody.
shouldn't look away.
Yeah, like
I don't like it. I hate it when they look away. I'm like, why are you looking away from me? Even in real life, do you like it when somebody looks away from you in real life when you're trying to
no,
talk to them? No. You
no.
want to like have that eye contact and that
Yeah,
smile, right?
yeah. Yeah, but sometimes people just see things that they think other people are doing and they think like, oh, this must be successful. And it's just like that look doesn't work. I'll get like, oh, here's another example now. It doesn't have anything to do with a headshot, but it is just simply
Mhm.
in connection. And especially in this age of like being on Zoom all the time. So like when I started at my job I'm at now, like it's always cameras on. It's all the time. And my old job, I didn't have to have my camera on. So, I'd be in the back. I could look however. But like now it's like cameras on all the time. And what you start to realize is like, what does your resting meeting face look like? And I remember like there's a girl that I work with who I mean hers is perfect because she's always like she's listening, but she always has a smile. Like she's always like,
Oh wait, she even does like the smile with the teeth?
yeah, she has the smile with
Or
teeth and she's like always like, very like engaged. And then I realized I'm like, yeah, like I'm engaged and I'm listening, but I'm like, I don't have a very like good resting meeting face because I feel like me being like my active listening phase could come across as like not like a night because I'm like, mm-hmm. Mm.
Yeah, that's too
And it's like,
serious.
yeah, and it's like,
Yeah.
although I'm like I mean, but I'm just like, yeah, but I'm listening and I'm taking notes. So I'm not like smiling at the same time because I'm trying to figure out how I need to, do what it is you're asking me to do. But it did make me more mindful of it. So then I do work harder in meetings to make sure that like I do am like, engaged with the head nod, with the smile because those things matter. And like maybe while nobody else, maybe other people just thought like, oh, she's
I I
listening.
love it. No, no, you know what I love about what you just said is you didn't learn this from a book or watching a video. You learned from observation.
Yeah,
Like
yeah.
you just saw somebody who you thought like, wow, she does this well.
Hmm. Yeah.
Hmm, maybe I should take this one thing she did well and I should start
Hmm.
implementing it myself. That is literally the way to develop your personal brand.
Yeah.
Exactly this. It's the
Mm.
power of observation because there's like no book out there that explains how to build your personal brand as an
Right.
author. It doesn't
Hmm.
exist. So
Hmm.
what I did was I actually went on LinkedIn and social media and I went to like the best-selling authors and I looked at what did they do well? Oh, I
Uh-huh.
noticed they're all like really like smiling and approachable and they
Mhm.
have that professional headshot, like I started taking notes on what they did. Like that's really
Mhm.
the only way to succeed is to watch how other people
Right. Yeah, I agree. I agree. And I think that and it's easy. Like those are very like small things that you can just pay attention to. And then you can implement in your like daily like life connections, all those things. Okay, so let's talk about so we talked about some things that you need to do get started, right? I also would like to maybe touch on like a LinkedIn. How important is it for people, to be engaged? Because it's one thing to be on LinkedIn, but like to be there because you need to be there. But what would you say as far as like really engaging and building community there?
Well, I'll be very honest. I personally do not engage in LinkedIn. I have an employee taking care of that for me.
All
So
right, somebody's engaging. So
I somebody's doing it on my behalf.
uh-huh.
But I do think it is important to be active on LinkedIn,
Mhm.
because apparently like other people do they might not necessarily like hit the like button or leave a
Mhm.
comment, but they scroll through and they're like,
Mhm.
"Oh
Mhm.
wow, Annie's up to this. Oh,
Mhm.
she's up to
Mhm.
this, and she's up to this." I had uh there's a salesperson that I send people over to when it
Uh-huh.
comes to like payment processing. I sent a lot of people over to him. And then last year, I called him up and he was like, I can't keep up with all the things you're doing. I'm like, what are you talking about? He's like, I don't know. I just see all this stuff you post on LinkedIn. You do piano, you do like these videos, you do all of this stuff. It's so hard to
Mhm.
keep up with you. So like apparently, so then he never leaves a comment, nothing. But
Right.
that's
Yes.
his perception of me is that I get a
Mhm.
lot done.
Mhm.
So it's really important to be part of LinkedIn.
Yeah. No, I agree, but I also appreciate like just your the transparency because yeah, like I mean, it takes a lot to be active in a lot of spaces and to be active like all the time. So I appreciate that you're not here saying like you have to be doing, you have to be showing up there every day and saying something and da 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 da. Because the thing that you do that you did mention that I agree with is that even if you aren't like saying something every day, when you say something, someone is always watching. And like to your point about your colleague, they may not be saying something or liking, but they are watching. And that's what I was trying to tell people because I'm like, yeah, most people just don't really like, most people don't like anymore because we're inundated with so much stuff that you're like just scrolling. People are just like this, just scrolling and looking, and then but they see what you're doing. So like I would always I also say to people like, don't stop if you are someone who you're putting out great content. Don't stop doing it just because like people like
Just
a
because of the lack
thousand
of
people,
engagement,
yeah, like a
right?
thousand
Yeah.
people didn't like it. Like they saw it. They saw
Yeah.
it and they know who you are and they're watching.
Yeah, and then what I also want to add on is like about the point you say, oh, you think other people aren't watching. What I notice is, so we're on this podcast right now, right?
Mhm.
You're wearing a full face of makeup. Your hair is done. Everything about you looks well put together. I'll be very honest. You got this nice background going on, right?
Mhm.
And nice clothes as well, right? You look great. I
Thank
have to
you.
compliment you. Um,
Thank you.
I saw this video, I think it was from Business Insider, about
Mhm.
this applicant. She was applying for a VP of Human Resources role. It went
Mhm.
viral on TikTok that she didn't get the job because she didn't wear makeup to her job interview. And then
Mhm.
the exact words for the feedback wasn't that she didn't wear makeup. It was just that you didn't put enough effort into your appearance. And then she went on the media. She went on TikTok and then
Mhm.
she went on the media saying, "Oh, it's not fair that women these days, if they don't wear makeup, they don't get the job." And then I'm like, it's part of the package, right?
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
understand this intuitively, I know.
Yeah.
But then when I went on her TikTok, I checked out her TikTok to see all of her videos,
Mhm.
and she literally looks like she rolled out of bed. So so she said she put in more effort than what she did for her TikTok, like for the interview.
Oh,
She put in effort. But when you go on her like personal TikTok, where she gets over 10,000 views a TikTok video, she
mhm.
literally looks like she rolled out of bed. And I
Mhm.
watched one of the videos, she even admitted, yeah, I did just wake up out of and rolled out of bed. I was like, does anyone want to give you a job if that's how you present yourself in the world and you
Right.
think people aren't you think employers aren't paying attention? Like, come
Yeah.
on,
Yeah.
you know?
I mean, I think that's a really interesting point because yeah, well, I get it. Yes, we live in a world where you don't want to be judged by the way that you look and how you appear. And no, that shouldn't be the thing but it's a part of the package because especially this sounds like a high profile and highly visible role in the organization. And
Yeah.
I don't think, because I like okay, I'll use me because I only know myself as an example, right? But like in my role, I am head of integrated marketing. So I lead a team of
Of
people.
course. Oh, wow.
And
Look, you have a
so
leadership position.
and
Yeah.
yeah, and so it's like, so I had somebody on my team mention to me one time, they said, "Oh my gosh, like we were commenting about like how at like 9 o'clock in the morning, you already are like made up and your hair's done and you look nice." And I'm like, yeah, but like that's the only way that I know how to show up to a workspace. And also as a leader of people and a face of a department, it is my responsibility. Yes, working at home does offer a casual, a more informal and more casual environment. But even if I show up and I decide that I want to wear a t-shirt that day, well, you can best believe my hair and my makeup is gonna be. I'm not gonna show up like with my hair up on top of my head in a bun and no makeup on. First of all, I don't know that anybody would want to see that, but I would feel at my best showing up to work like this. And I think like that's important when you think about the role. So like when I was interviewing for this position, if I'd shown up looking like I just rolled out of bed, I mean, I wouldn't have expected them to receive that, especially meeting with other leaders and meeting with the C suite of my company while I was interviewing. If I'd shown up to a meeting with them looking that way, I don't think I would have gotten the job either because it would have said, like, well, this is a face of a team. Do we want her appearing this way?
Yeah, because you basically represent the
Yes.
department, right?
Yeah,
And
exactly.
clearly, this woman, she didn't get the job. She was applying for VP of Human Resources. I
Yeah.
talked to somebody about this video, and she's like, "Of course she needs to wear makeup. That's a position of influence." I said, "Of course,
Yeah.
I agree, right?" And she clearly had the capability of getting
Hmm.
in the media, Business Insider, right?
Yeah.
So imagine like if she actually got the job and then one day she had to do like a public relations interview
Yeah.
on behalf of
Yeah.
the company. Like the company wants to know, wow, she can really put her game face on and put her
Hmm.
best foot forward for
Yeah.
us. Like that
Yeah.
that is I think what companies are looking for. So it expands beyond just like whether you have the
Yeah.
merit, whether you're
Yeah.
capable.
I
It's like you
I
said,
think
whole
that's
package.
yeah, I think what you said is so true. It is definitely that they are looking at how are you going to represent them? And, like you said, not only yourself, but your team, but then can we put her out there to represent the company? And that's important. And so it may not, I remember a manager like a couple jobs back saying that to me, like, oh, well, I don't know, like, how are you going to present like out in public? And I thought to myself, I mean, you see me every day. I present well to you. Like I present well enough to be here and presenting to you and doing and it was fine. Like I was like, okay, well, that's why the opportunity is needed, right? So that you can see. But it's just important because that is something I think people you look at the whole package. Like you're not looking at somebody going like, oh, judging them on physical appearance, but you are just looking at how are they put together. Can I see this person? Like you said, being a VP of HR is a definite position of influence. And it's a first face of the organization when you're looking to attract or retain talent. So very, very important.
Yes.
So what do you think are some other missteps that people make when they are crafting their personal brands?
I think the other misstep is the lack of a professional bio. Now, before ChatGPT came out, I actually had to pay a copywriter $300 to write one up
Mhm,
for me. Now we have
mhm.
ChatGPT. You have a $20
Yeah.
subscription to ChatGPT 4, and you can write one up. It just asks ChatGPT what are the 10 things you need from me to write one up, and it'll tell you we need these 10 things, and you just shove
Mhm.
it back in, right? And then it'll write like a really nice bio for you. And I think that's just so important because the thing is like even if you have the great headshot, you have the experiences there, like everything looks great, but then somebody might look at your profile and they might go, not really sure if I should reach out to Kyra about this opportunity because maybe she might not even want it.
Mhm.
Like clearly you want it, but then other people aren't
Yeah.
sure what you want. And
Yeah.
it needs to be placed in the bio. The bio is not just necessarily about what you've done in the past. That's great and all.
Mhm.
The really important thing is like what you're planning to do in the future,
Mhm.
right? Like what are your future goals that you're like looking
Mhm.
to accomplish? So then like when
Mhm.
somebody crosses paths with you, I'm like, oh, I know the perfect thing for you. We could work together on this, right? Like
Mhm.
that's really the important thing. And I think people don't understand that. They think like a bio is just like a nice summary or history of what they've done.
Right. Yeah. I think also too, oh man, it was there and then it was there and it left. Oh my gosh. It was gonna be an add-on to what you said. I actually had a good question, I thought, and then it
It'll
just
come.
escaped my brain. We'll bring it back when it comes back again. So let's talk about like being consistent, right? Oh, I know.
Okay.
There it is. There it is. As we were talking about the bio, right? And so if you're talking about like it's not just like a historical look at like who you are as a person, but it's should be also like a future, forward facing, like I want this, right? These are things that I'm hoping to accomplish. Now let's talk about people who are entrepreneurs, so people who have full-time jobs that may say, "Oh yeah, I like working my job and I like working in industry. I'm looking for something different, but I'm still an entrepreneur on the side." How do you merge those two things?
Oh, both of those could be in your bio. I somehow managed to weave both of them into my own bio. You know, I have
Hmm.
the full-time job as an accountant, but then I also have YouTube videos helping people with their finances, giving career
Hmm.
advice. Um, it's not a separate
Yeah.
thing. It's
Yeah.
just all one career, right? So it's
Hmm.
just a matter of like if your entrepreneurial thing is like the more important thing that you want to do in the future, that gets placed first. Even if you spend less hours doing that, it's
Hmm.
still at the forefront of your bio because it's about what you want. It's not about what you've done,
Right.
but what
Hmm.
you want. And then, the fact that you have a full-time job in this, maybe it contributes to the fact that you have experience and credibility that comes secondary.
Okay, no, I love that. Thank you. Because I think a lot of times people struggle when they're trying to figure out, especially like when because I remember even this in the beginning when I first started this podcast and Glow Up Girl, and I was like, oh, but I got a job, full-time job, and I want to, keep my job, and I don't, and if I happen to be looking for another job, like I don't want people to think that like, oh, this just trumps like doing, the other position. So yeah, so then I just decided to merge them together, like you said, because it is important so that people understand like who you are as a complete person.
Yes. And actually, it's not a bad thing to do what you did. Like some people are like they're like trying to hide from future employers like, "Oh, I don't want them to know that I did this thing on the side. I
Yeah.
made a podcast on the side." But actually,
Yeah.
no. They don't realize that employers look at that and they go like, "Wow, isn't Kyra so amazing? She has
Yeah.
a full-time job and she does a podcast and she has a family, like she has like
Yeah.
a full life and somehow she manages to still run it all." Right?
Yeah.
She's amazing. She has great time management. And this is the kind of quality we want in somebody. But like
Yeah.
for some reason, from the employee side, they don't realize that and they're like, I don't want
Exactly.
people to find out. Like,
Yeah.
what?
I know,
Yeah.
I know. I'm definitely right there with you. I do think that that does happen a lot, and for sure, I think you just have to, because like everybody knows where I work, everybody knows about Glow Up Girl, they know about the podcast, like everybody's aware, and it's just like, well, that's just a part of like what I bring to the table and who I am, and like you said, yeah, you should be happy to hire someone who is able, you go right in the door knowing like, apparently they're determined, they have an entrepreneurial spirit, they
Take
are,
take take initiative.
yeah, and
Initiative.
yeah, and
Yeah.
you're able to like multitask and all those things. So yes, I think that all that is really cool. Thank you for that. I think that's going to help a lot of people. Okay, so let's just talk about the consistency of your brand, your personal brand, and showing up in all the places, right? Whether it's your LinkedIn account to your TikTok to Instagram, like how important is it for all the different platforms to sort of have that same consistent version of who you are?
It's really important. And I think people don't understand what the word consistency means. So when I say consistency, I mean the headshot needs to be the same. So
Mhm.
the same photo that you're using on one profile, it needs to be like the same photo across all your profiles because like what if like the other profile has like a 5-year-old picture of you? Like people don't recognize that that's you.
Mhm.
You have to make it easy for people because this thumbnail is literally, it's called a thumbnail, it's the size of your thumb. So they can't see. So you have to make it like super recognizable even when it's super
Mhm.
small. That's one. The name, some people mess this up. Like for example, they'll say uh, Kyra Lewis, Kyra M. Lewis, Kyra Mitchell Lewis, like Kyra Mitchell L. They've got like different variations of their full name on social media. And someone who's just met you and is checking you out, they can't tell it's the same you.
Right. Yeah.
So you have to like really make it easy. Another
Mhm.
reason for that, like to just use the same name the same
Mhm.
way across all your profiles is because that's how Google indexes you.
Mhm.
So the reason why I have like so many search results tied to my name and it makes it look like I'm famous on Google is because I consistently use Annie Margarita Yang and then I ask hosts, I say, please don't use Annie Yang or Annie M. Yang. When you write
Mhm.
my name, I want you to write Annie Margarita Yang so that it shows up on
Right.
Google search.
Mhm.
So that's another thing for the consistency. And then the other reason why it's just so important is I read that before somebody decides to buy from you. So think of
Mhm.
like your future employer as actually your customer, right?
Mhm.
Before anyone decides to buy from you, they have to have multiple exposures. So whether
Right.
that's like
Mhm.
the initial text, initial email is another one, getting on your mailing list, seeing a YouTube video, checking out your Facebook, your LinkedIn, your TikTok, maybe like at least seven to around 10 exposures
Mhm.
before they're like, yeah, I trust her.
Mhm.
She's the
Mhm.
one I want to give this to, right? They don't just like have one exposure to you and go like, yeah, 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 I want to.
Right.
No,
Yeah.
they take
Like
like several exposures.
yeah, they're not like, yep, one time and let's buy from her.
Right.
Exactly. No, I definitely appreciate that. I think these have been such great tips and I believe you. So first of all, when I was first introduced to you when we first started chatting and I saw that you had your name like Annie Margarita Yang, I knew there was a reason and I knew I was like if she showed up that way and that's the way that she provided it to me, then that's the way that I'm always going to write it. And then obviously, we were talking before we went live here. I said we talked about that, and I just want to make sure because I think that's really important. And I agree with you. I do think like people do show up in different ways on social media, like so I personally try to always keep a variation of like, the Mitchell Lewis because it's like, Kyra underscore ML, like just, and then it's of course Mitchell Lewis on LinkedIn, but I try to make sure they're all like, consistent. So that even if you get to LinkedIn, if you get to Instagram, you're like the ML, but you saw on Facebook Mitchell Lewis, LinkedIn Mitchell Lewis, like, and it's that consistency. And I think that is important to think about like a potential employer, like a customer. So that those are really great, great, great tips, Annie.
Wow, I
Uh,
really love this conversation
yes,
because
me
you have
too.
such great questions. And not only that, you have like just such great insight from your life experience. I was
Yeah.
like, I like that. What was it? The
Yes.
resting Zoom face.
Yeah, girl,
I loved
it's
it.
that rest of meeting face because I saw it and I was like, oh wait, no. And so and even like this morning, so like the first Friday of every month, we have like a town hall and it's Zoom, right? And so there's all of us on the meeting. And I remember when I first started working there, you would see this right here. You would see people looking to the side and doing and I even this morning I like literally saw somebody like this close to the camera. But he's like this close
So
to the camera.
awkward. Awkward.
But not only that, but like he was working. He was like doing other stuff. And I just thought, I was like, dude, like you're in a town hall meeting with like all the C-suite people, your manager, and you're like over here typing. And I remember like our CEO said to us like maybe a couple months ago, like, just make sure you tell your teams to be attentive in the meetings. And I thought to myself, yeah, like if you can't give like an hour of like it's just an hour. If you can't sit, and I told my team, I was like, sit on your hands if you can't. Like sit on your hands if you think that you want to reach at your computer and work. So because even I do it some like when I'm in other meetings sometimes, and it's so easy when you hear the Slack notification or the email notification to just go, oh, let me just peek. But now, no, like if I'm in a meet, like if I'm in one-on-ones with my team, we do sort of use those. It's like we're working sessions. So I might be pulling up files to show them or pulling something, going to send them something, a file or something like that. But when you're in groups of like four people or more, and it's like someone is presenting something to you, if you guys sit on them hands, sit on those hands because I don't want to see your eyes. I don't want to see you looking at the other screen.
I hope they appreciate your feedback.
Yeah, it's like I was like, I just don't want to see you looking and seemingly not paying attention to someone. I was like, because
At
we're
least
all
you give the feedback. some
Yeah.
managers, they don't give the feedback,
Yeah.
and that's terrible.
We did a whole like in my I think my two team meetings ago, I did like a whole thing on like just meeting optimization and
Yeah.
effectiveness. And we talked through like first of all, like just how to run an actual meeting because there are so many people like I mean, I'm a little bit older than most of the people on my team, so I've have a lot of work experience. And so I've run meetings, in offices, run meetings virtually, and I know the process. And so I'm like, first of all, let's just talk about how to prepare for a meeting, how to manage a meeting, like how to leave the meeting, close the meeting with like, okay, these are our action steps. And, if you're not, and you should be sending those out to let people know like what you expect for them from this meeting. Because you're not just having a meeting just to have a meeting. Like, I mean, I sit in meetings like all day. So I'm never like one, don't bring me to the meeting just to talk about nothing.
You know what? I think I gotta tell you something. You gotta write a book on this. You gotta write like a short pamphlet style book, and you can call
Yeah.
yourself Glow Up Girl author. I just
No, I
because
look, I'm gonna receive that.
you have so much insight. You have so much wisdom and insight on how a meeting should be run, I think. And if you're teaching it already, I think it should
Yeah,
be
yeah.
like something that you published,
Trying
you
to.
know?
So thank you. I received that. Maybe I will do that. I'll get on that. So let's switch gears and talk about your book. So tell us about the 5 day job search. And I think we got a little bit of the inspiration behind it, but if you could just go back into that and then talk about the why of the book and who you wrote this book for.
Well, I really wrote this book for the, recent college grad or high school grad who doesn't want to go to college,
Mhm,
how they can find out like what they want to do long term for their career.
mhm,
Because I think people think only 2 years out at most, and I'm thinking like you need to think 50 years out. Like,
mhm.
what do you really want to accomplish? And
Right.
then I explain how you can set a path to get there. Like somebody said, I want to be a hotel manager. And then I was like, well, what are you doing now? He's like working at the front desk. So he's like on the very bottom. And I said,
Mhm,
okay, well, how do you do your research, right? So the book teaches you how to do that research, which promotions you need to apply for along the
mhm,
way, so that your next job isn't like a lateral move, but instead it's going up because you have
mhm,
to apply for the right position
mhm.
that you're
Yeah.
qualified for that's just a little bit stretch out of your experience, but you're
Mhm,
capable of getting. And then really the rest is how to show up.
yeah.
Really, it's the energy that you bring to everything that you do, including the
Mhm,
interview. People think that the book has like shortcuts, like, oh,
mhm.
what is that secret phrase that I can just
Yeah.
say, and
Yes.
the interviewer will go like, yes, we'll hire
Yeah.
you right away. And it just doesn't exist because I think of the interview as just like it's that culmination, it's that final exam. It's like all the practice and the studying you've done is like for all of your life. Every day you go to work, every day you're at home studying after work, right? And
Mhm.
then the interview itself is just like one day of your
Right.
life
Yeah.
that is like, oh, I just need to show up and be who I
Yeah.
am, right? Like
Yeah.
that's really what the book is about. It's like how to become that person. So
Okay.
then you just show up to an interview and you're just like, here I am.
Yeah. I love that. I love that. And I love that you take an approach of, yeah, not everybody wants to go to college and not everybody has to go to college. I mean, you can find who you are and what you're really good at and enter into the business and work your way up. And so I like that because I think that that's important for people to know.
I
All
think
right.
you're
Yeah.
you're the head of a department. I think you need to start letting people know because you're doing the hiring as well, for your
Yeah.
department. So if only
Yeah.
like the younger generation could hear it from people like you who are in charge of hiring, we could have a change in our country.
Yeah. I definitely, one of the things I definitely do try to talk to people. I like even within my own team, like yesterday, it was so cool. I was having an like a talent sync with my talent manager, the talent manager there, and we were just talking about the team. And, and I was going through like talking about all my team members. And I said, look, at the end of the day, for me as a leader, my role is to help people discover and find out what it is they want to do. Like, it's not for me to say, we've got this job, you got to fit in this box and you need to do it forever. Now, if a person has expressed that they want to grow their career with us and where they are, then we're going to do everything we can. But if they come to me and say, actually, no, I was thinking like, maybe I want to change careers in the next 5 years. I want to start my own business. Then I'm going to figure out how to help them do that as well. I was like, just because I want it to be free flowing conversation. And I always want people to feel like they are comfortable coming to me and actually really having an ally, and not somebody who, as soon as you say like, well, I don't want to be here, I don't really want to be here for more than 2 years, and then we just turn on them. I'm like, it doesn't work like that. I'm like, what it is that, we, at any time you come to me and say, I don't know, lately I just don't feel inspired here, but I'm thinking I'd like to maybe do this type of work in this type of place. And I'll hit the ground on my contacts and figure out how to help you get there. I'll figure out how to help you develop the skills that you might need to get there. Because I just don't believe in thumbing people down and like holding them captive. Like, if you don't work for me, you can't work here.
Amazing. Amazing, Kyra.
Like,
You're a
so
gem. You're a gem. There's not many managers like that.
well, thank you.
You're
I
a
really
gem.
appreciate it. It's like one of the greatest joys of like the job and being is it's a blessing to lead people. And I think that we have to, it's a blessing, an honor, and it's like a responsibility, because you're responsible for helping to get the people and take care of them and help them reach their potential. So, because I think I've reached a point in my career to where it's not like I don't lead with I'm thinking about my career. Like, I do, I'm fine. Like, I do well. Like, I like the job I'm in. I like what I do, but I want to help my people. I want to see them grow. And and I have a girl on my team who I always say, I'm like, you're it, man. You're the succession. If I fall off the earth tomorrow, like, it's you. HR knows it's you. She's like, oh my God. And I'm like, you got it. I wouldn't even tell them that if I didn't think that you could step in and do the job. I was like, you don't have to be me. You just need to be you and just go from there. Do what you do every day here. And I think a lot of people get nervous about like, oh, am I planning for the person that's going to take my job? Well, I'm like, I don't plan on
They
working
get
forever.
scared. They get scared.
I'm like, I don't plan on working forever. So like, if I'm doing the thing right that I'm supposed to be, like, I'm not gonna be working corporately for the rest of my life. So it's all good. You gotta, you find good leaders. I think people just have to take care of those good leaders. All right. Okay. So let's tell us how people can connect to you, how they can find your book.
So best way to connect with me is to actually follow me on TikTok and YouTube. The TikTok is Annie Yang Financial, and on YouTube, just search Annie Margarita Yang to find me. And then to get the book, the audio book is free. So you can listen to it. You can go to annieyangfinancial.com. At the top, it says free audiobook. Just click that and then put in your name, your email address, and then you can just download the book.
Awesome. We love it. We love a free resource here. So we'll make sure to put all those links in the show notes to your TikTok, to find you, to your website, and also just to download the book as well. Okay. I have really enjoyed this conversation. It was so great
Same
to
here.
chat with you. Like, for those of you listening or watching, Annie and I have had quite the journey to get together here today. We've had some like, okay, we've had some rescheduled moments, but I always believe that things work the way they're supposed to work, and like this has just been a perfect moment chatting here with you today.
I really enjoyed it. I actually learned so much from you. So
Oh, you're awesome. So we're going to transition now into three things with Annie. I'm going to ask you three questions that just helps our audience get to know you a little bit better. So the first question is actually a two-parter. It is, how do you start and end the day?
Oh my gosh, no, that's hard. I'm kind of embarrassed. I will wake up and these days I will hit the snooze button maybe 5 times. So I intend to wake up at 7 and then it becomes
Uh-huh.
7:10, 7:20, 7:30, 7:40, 7:50, and then finally 8 o'clock. That's how I start my day. How do I end my day? I end my day reading very negative news. So don't follow my don't follow what I'm doing. I
Well,
keep
for
reading news about economics and
uh-huh.
job,
Well,
layoffs and
it's job related.
job
I mean,
losses.
yeah. I mean, but
It
I
gives me
appreciate.
anxiety before I go to sleep.
Yeah, probably not the best way to end the day, but I appreciate your transparency because not a lot of people are probably out there hitting the snooze button, but they probably wouldn't tell you that they were hitting the snooze in the morning. So really appreciate that. But look at you, you're a rock star. So I mean, what it works for you. So that's all that matters.
Okay.
All right. Number two, what's a goal or intention that you set for yourself this year?
Oh, this year, I plan to give speeches at colleges and universities about personal branding and the 5-day job search. So that is like the pretty much if I could accomplish this one thing this year, I'd be so happy.
Awesome. Love that. Love that. All right. And then last, where are you currently finding inspiration?
Um, that's interesting. Inspiration, I feel like it just comes from like everyday life. Like for example, here I am, I'm in Kentucky. It's the
Mhm.
most spontaneous thing I've ever done because I was
Yeah.
getting ghosted, right? And
Uh-huh.
then on Wednesday, today's Friday. On Wednesday, I said, you know what? I'm just gonna buy a ticket to go to Kentucky tomorrow, which was yesterday. I got here at 3 a.m. Yeah, I got here at 3 a.m. and then here I am today. And so I just feel like, for example, even just this daily life inspiration, which is mundane, it's really, really mundane. But then I was
Mhm.
like, wow, really? Is this the only reason why some people are successful and other people aren't? Like why some agents, like top real estate agents in the market,
Mhm.
they bring in like all the money and then like the bottom 90% hardly make any money at all. And I'm thinking like maybe the reason why is a differentiator is just that one person, they always answer the phone.
Mhm.
That's it. They
Mhm.
always answer the phone and they always get back to you within an hour. And the
Mhm.
others, they take maybe a week to get back to you.
Mhm.
And that's why they don't earn money. So
Mhm.
just this like very mundane experience that I'm having, I'm like, this could be a speech in and of
Mhm.
itself,
Mhm.
Like
Yeah.
just like getting back to people is so basic, but
Yes.
it was a learning experience for me that actually is
Mhm.
so important. But
Yeah.
other people don't have that trait.
Yeah, I think that's very good. I like that. See, and also too, just that go-getter spirit. You were like, well, I'm going, I'm getting a ticket and I'm going. So there you go. All right. Well, it has been a pleasure. And before I let you go, I have to ask you one more thing. Will you leave our audience with 3 things you'd like for them to take away from this conversation today?
Yes, so it's just a repeat because you have to repeat things for it to really go
Mhm.
in. Number one, you need that professional headshot, right?
Mhm.
Number two, you really need to be consistent with that headshot across all your profiles and your name, so
Mhm.
that people get that repeated exposure to you, like the same version of you across all these platforms. And then number three, that bio that you write for your LinkedIn, it really has to convey what you want for your life and your career, and not just what you've done. So that way, you open opportunities for yourself that are aligned with what you want, not just things that are like totally
Mhm.
random.
Awesome. Okay. Love that so much. So thank you so much, Annie Margarita Yang, for coming and spending time with the community. And you can always come back to see us in the future.
Kyra, thanks for having me on.
Awesome. Stay tuned, everyone. We'll be right back.